tonight. Tonight, we're going to have a session with Dr. Jabnu Joybet, who is a Cameroonian, currently not in Cameroon, but he's a leadership and business expert who has made a lot of impact in the personal development industry. And he has a particular love for leaders and love for young people. I was on a call last week where he was talking about leadership, talking about the an experience with the book that one of my friends wrote, and he's just one of those powerful voices that you can reckon with. Tonight is going to teach us and take us through a journey on how to start, scale, and soar as a business person. And he's going to also use the opportunity to highlight certain probable ways in which you can grow as a business person, how to manage your finances, how to expand your finances. In fact, how to just manage your finances in a way that can attract customers, and beyond that, that can make you scale and soar as a business person. So, ladies and gentlemen, please permit me welcome Mr. Javnu Joybet to join us on the stage tonight. Mr. Joybet, are you here with us?
All right. Yes, I am here. Thank you so much, Ebai, for having me. Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? If you can hear me loud and clear, can you give me some feedback in the chat box? Can you type loud and clear in the chat box if you can hear me loud and clear? Give me some feedback. All right. I am waiting for some feedback. Thank you so much. Anybody else here? If you are live and you're present, can you give me some feedback in the chat box so that I know that we don't just have passive people, but people who are involved here, right? One of the big challenges of running a program virtually is that many people get very passive. All right. Good, 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 good. Thank you so much. All right, before we continue, secondly, in the chat box, I want to understand the people I'm talking to. If you already have a business, type the word founder in the chat box. If you are still to start, type the word wannabe entrepreneur. If you have made your first million ever in business, I don't care whether it's 10 years ago, but if you have crossed the first 1 million mark in any currency, type CEO in the chat box. So founder, wannabe entrepreneur, if you have made your first 1 million ever, type CEO in the chat box. Let me know. All right, all right. Happy to see that. So I have people that cut across all the three levels. That's good. That's good. So if you're under wannabe, it means you have ideas, you have perspectives. That's good. Founder, it means something is running, whether you're making money or not. That's good. I'm happy to see CEOs who have made $1 million from their ideas or businesses. That is super awesome. All right. Thank you so much to the management of Connecting Africans. Thank you for inviting me. I have no idea how you decided to invite me. I wanted to ask that. I think the person chatted me on Instagram, and then I just accepted because I have passion for this, and the dates that she gave me, I had the window in my schedule to do that. And I think throughout this year, this is the second event I'm speaking in that I'm speaking for free, right? I hardly speak for free. So, but I saw that it was something for entrepreneurs, and I was happy to be part of it. So if I'm here, it means that I value the importance of this event, and I believe that it is an important platform that can change lives and help people. So the management, the founder, the team, anybody who is in charge, thank you so much for putting this together and for contributing to the growth of entrepreneurship in Africa, in Cameroon as a whole. All right. I want to challenge you that if you give me your attention, you will leave here with a clear blueprint that can enable you to become very successful in business, right? Because I will not be teaching you from theory, because as an entrepreneur myself, I have started 8 businesses, 8 companies. Some have failed, some have made it. I know what it means to make a few millions. I know what it means to lose a few millions in a business deal. And but my full-time work is into business consulting and training. So I work a lot with entrepreneurs. And if it is, when it comes to making millionaires some ideas, I'm very good at it, right? I don't need anybody to agree with me. I know I'm very good at it because I have created so many results over the years for so many people. So when I'm teaching on business, I am not guessing. I know that if you take what I'm going to show you and practice it, it's going to help you. Now, first things first, the organizers gave me like 5 topics to handle. And if you're somebody who creates business training curriculum, you'll notice that what you guys gave me, I need like 1 week training every day for 2 hours to cover all those topics. So it is literally impossible for me to handle all of those things, but I got you guys covered, right? I'm going to share a link in the chat box, a link to my YouTube channel where there's a playlist, a link to a playlist. That playlist has about 140 something videos on different business topics, right? So if you sit on that playlist, it's like you are taking a full MBA program. If you sit on it for 1 month, you will have more experience in business than somebody who has an MBA in from any school. I guarantee you that, right? Because I've covered almost every different aspect of business. So if you run a business, you want to start a business, you should sit on that playlist. It has 100+ videos just on business, from startup to medium to even large corporations. You will learn so many things that will help you. All right. So for this episode today, I will try. I looked at the topic and I asked myself, what kind of training can I present that will lay a strong foundation for anybody at any level in business? So whether you're starting, whether you have just ideas in your mind and you're confused on what to do next, or you have started and you want to scale and start making a few more millions in what you're doing, that what I will talk about will be able to lay that foundation for you and give you the right perspective and even the strategies or some key steps you can begin to take to advance. All right. So I will be talking on how to define your business vision, how to establish that value proposition, and I will talk about target market. And these are 3 key concepts that if you have it in business at whatever level that you are, you will be able to start or expand or scale your business. All right. So if you follow me carefully, it's going to help you. And with the foundation I will lay today, if you go through that playlist, you will see different videos on business strategy, execution, ideation, marketing, sales strategies, and different things that you can apply to be able to do that. So I will give you like kind of a 7-step process that you should consider when it comes to defining your business vision, when it comes to creating your value proposition, and also when it comes to identifying or serving the right target market with the value that you have. And the first step I want to talk about is the power of mapping the real economy as it is where you are. The first step to being able to establish the right business vision, or to even create the right value proposition in your business, or to even have the right target market that you're targeting, is to map out, clearly establish what I like to call the real economy. Now, why is this important? You see, many people, when they want to start a business or they're running a business, they like to create things from abstract. And because of this word innovation, people misplace that word. People misunderstand that word. And if you don't understand how to map your real economy, how to begin from your immediate context where you are, you will find it difficult to start and run a profitable business. Why? Because you only make money from a real economy. For example, I've seen people working with, let's say, trying to build an app, and they build an app for years. And if you take that app to the context where they are, or to the people they're trying to serve, that app does not fit into the real economy, right? So if you are going to run a business that makes money, you must understand how to map out, how to identify the real economy that you are part of. When you look at your immediate context, can you make money from that context? In other words, I am challenging you to identify the sectors where the economic activities are really happening, because that is where money is turning, right? I just made a post on Facebook a few minutes ago, and I said that anywhere there are human beings, there is money to be made. You don't even need to be innovative to make money, right? Innovation is good, but the first step to real innovation is you being able to understand the real economy where you are based, your town, your city, your country, your continent. Have you identified the sectors where real economic activity are actually happening? You see that? For example, I was consulting with a lady who had an idea of getting into skincare production. And I said, look, if you're going to be able to make money, you need to be part of the real economy. And I challenge her, can you start importing, body lotions and things like that from other markets and start selling where you are? Start by being part of the real economy. If you start just abstract from the air, because I have seen many ladies or even men trying to establish skincare brands and so on, and they have no idea how the real economy works. You see that now? So I want to ask you a question. Based on the business that you want to start, based on the business that you are running right now, what industries, what services in your immediate economy generate consistent income every day? I ask people this question a lot, and many of them never have the answer. Looking at your industry, what part of your industry generates income every day? Can you be part of that industry? Can you be part of that sector? Then whatever you have in your mind as a vision, as an idea, as innovation, you build on that. Then you're going to make a lot of money, right? For example, this is the model. Many of us know Dangote, right? If you know Dangote, type yes in the chat box. If you're not Dangote, type yes in the chat box. Everybody should know that if you're in business, right? Now, Dangote did not start by producing cement. He started by doing what? He was importing cement and selling. He started by being part of the real economy. Be part of the economy where money is rotating. That is your first assignment. It's very important. And also, when you understand that value chain, it becomes easy for you to scale and become very successful. Like I was talking to one of my mentees who's in one of the mentorship program in business, and he was thinking about, buying cocoa and exporting to Nigeria. I said, to other countries. I said, that's good. That's good. But I want to challenge you. Can you start first by buying from villages, bringing it to your town where you are, and let others from different countries come and buy from you? Can you understand the value chain where you are first? Can you understand the value chain between the village and the city first? Can you do that? Don't just start from nowhere, no idea. You have no experience about any industry or the part of the industry, and you just jump into investing money and thinking that you're going to be creative, but that creativity will not take you anywhere, right? So the first step is map out the real economy. Do you understand the real economy where you are? Do you understand the trade flows? Do you understand the customer behaviors? Do you understand the supply chain links? Do you understand the community needs where you are, right? Because we're in a generation where many founders begin to chase what I like to call technology fantasy. Many people think that anything that you add an app into it, a website into it, and all of that is innovation. No, that's not innovation. That is just using a tool to enhance your delivery of value, right? So you need to understand, how do you establish the real economy first, because it is important to understand how money moves in the real economy, in your local market. Then you can start thinking of technology at that particular level. All right. So I am going to give you assignments. Make a list of 3 visible income flows in your region where you're based. Right? Make a list. Like when it comes to this industry, for example, many people said that they want to, we already have people here that they said they want to start a business, right? Now, for those of you who want to start a business, can you type the industry where you want to start a business? Can you type the industry in the chat box? Go ahead. I want to give very practical examples. And for those who run businesses, can you type the industry where your business operates? All right. So it could be, yes, agriculture, education. Go ahead. It could be internet, digital platforms. It could be healthcare. All right. Good. Awesome. Now, manufacturing. That's good. Now, I want to give those of you that want to start a business, you are still in the stage of wannabe entrepreneurs, right? I want to give you an assignment. Can you make a list of 3 visible economic flows or income flows in your city based on that area? Right? For example, somebody said food processing. All right, before you start processing, maybe you're going to need machines and all of that. Before you are doing at that level, what part of that industry in your area is money already flowing every day? What part of it? Right? So, because when you identify that, why is this important? Because if you're in business, hear me very well. If you're in business and you don't know who is buying, you don't know who is already selling, you don't know who is already supplying, you don't know who is transporting the value or how the value is delivered, you will not do well in that business. So before you get into the business sector, for those who are wannabes already, want to start, or for those who have started, who is buying? Who is selling? Who is supplying what at what level? Who is transporting the value, or how is the value delivered? Because these are the components that make up the real economy. And when you do that, you understand key areas of that business, right? So number 1, map out the real economy. Number 2, step 2, define your vision as somebody who studies patterns. Define your vision as somebody who studies patterns. Now, hear this. You see, many people confuse goal setting with visioning, right? And there are 2 different things. One comes first before the other. You cannot be effective in goal setting without visioning. And if I want to take it further, you cannot be effective in crafting your vision if you don't know your purpose. So it is purpose, vision, goal setting, right? And as a founder in business, a founder's vision is not goal setting. It is your ability to study patterns in the industry where you want to play the game. Because a vision that you're trying to establish and you don't have the right pattern recognition of the industry, you will not have the right vision, right? So looking at the business that you want to start, looking at the business you are already running right now, what are the key patterns in that industry, in that business sector? Do you know the recurring frictions? Do you know the unmet needs? Do you know the repeat problems that customers are facing or the transaction issues? Do you know the kind of problems that the people who are already in that business are trying to solve? Do you know how they are making money? Have you studied the industry to spot out some key patterns? Because your vision in business as an entrepreneur, as a business leader, is that clear image of that persistent gap that you have spotted in your industry that you want to fill. So your vision is in that light. So, and one thing that I have experienced a lot from many entrepreneurs in Cameroon and Africa is that they try to frame their vision as a social mission or something like a big ideal, right? Sometimes I'll ask people, are you running an NGO or you're in business? I don't think you know the difference, right? So is it good to have a social mission? Yes, but if you're in business, be in business. And let your social mission be a second reason, or just be in a non-profit or social enterprise, and let us know that you're a social enterprise. But if you confuse the two, it makes it difficult for us to even create your business model and enable you to make money. You see that right now. So you need to sit down and establish what is the patterns in this industry, and then develop your business vision to fit the patterns, especially the gaps in the industry that your business wants to fill that gap. When you have a business vision around that, you will have a very good business, right? So if this was a one-on-one consulting session, one thing I'll challenge you is, can you write in one sentence describing a repeatable gap in the market that you want to solve with your business? Can you write in one sentence? Can we do that in the chat box? In the chat box, right? Everybody who run a business or you have an idea, write in one sentence a repeatable gap in your market that you can solve for the next 10 years. Do you know that gap? Do you know that gap? That is where your business vision comes from. If you cannot clearly articulate a repeatable gap in the market, you don't have a good business. All right, I see youth employment. That's good, but that is not it. That is not it. That's not a gap. I see hunger. That is not it. That's not a gap. Right? That is something that is vague. All right. So you need to go better than that. So, for example, if you want to craft a vision, let's say, okay, shortage of vegetables. Now that sounds good. All right. Now that if we start breaking down that value chain, you're going to see that it's too big for you. But in that value chain of shortage of vegetables, what particular gap do you want to fill? Do you want to fill the gap of delivery? For example, shortage of vegetable can be that the gap is that the vegetables are in the farmers' farms, but they are not available in a city. You see that it's a more narrow gap now. And your vision now can be more clear that, you know what, I am going to run a transportation business where my mission is to fill the gap that there are always shortages of vegetable in large cities in sub-Saharan Africa and all of that. You see that? So study your gap and make sure that the gap you're feeding is actually a painful gap that if you communicate to your target market, they will understand. And you see, when you have this, it gives you a lot of hope and even confidence in your business. So when you define your vision based on pattern recognition and studies, not assumption, not guesswork, no, use some data, go to the field, talk to people, it's better, right? Step 3, link the vision to value proposition. Link the vision to value proposition. The two must go together. A good business vision without a good value proposition, that business will just be very good grammar. Have you seen very good business plans, but they're not making money? Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, right? So if you're going to have a good business vision and go beyond just speaking good grammar in a good, well-documented business plan, one important thing is that your business vision must be linked to your value proposition. So what am I saying? Once you have identified the pattern, like in step 2, it is important to translate it into value. All right. So all of these things that you guys are listing, all right, what is the value and to who are you delivering that value? What is the value? What, in other words, what specific outcome will you reliably deliver that others do not deliver already in your industry or in your sector, or they are doing it and it's not efficient? That is how to link your vision to value proposition. What specific outcome can you create as a business owner? What outcome are you reliably delivering to others or to your target market that players in that industry are not doing it at all, or they are doing it and they are not efficient in the process? So you have to link that to the value proposition. So if I ask you, okay, all right, based on this vision, in 2 minutes, can you tell me the specific transformation that you deliver consistently to this particular target market, that you have seen that other competitors, either they are not doing it or they are doing it and they are not effective? Can you tell me that? That is how to link your vision to your value proposition. It is very important, because when you don't have this also, it affects other areas in your business. For example, your marketing will be bad. Your sales conversation will be bad. You will not have the right words to talk to investors. You see, I get to a good number of investors get to invite me to sit on their different meetings to evaluate business ideas. And many a times, many business owners and founders, they don't have the right words to talk to investors because they don't have this back end I'm talking about. Okay, so many of you need to sit down and now look at, okay, this is my business vision. All right, that's good. Now, what is the value proposition? Is there a strong link between my vision and my value proposition? Can you clearly articulate specific outcomes that you reliably deliver that others cannot? It's very important. Or others are doing it, but they are not doing it efficient. So that is why you don't use generic terms like better service, no, or quick delivery, or top quality. No, these are meaningless grammar without context. You must tie your claim, you must tie what you're saying to a result, to an expected outcome. Right? So if somebody said youth employment, that's an example of what I say, a meaningless grammar without context. It doesn't make sense, right? There's no value proposition in that. It's just the same as saying top quality or better service. No, that will not move an investor, or that will not even move a customer. No, give me something that is clear, very specific. Let's take the person who says youth employment. Maybe your job will be that you're going to run an employability training center. All right. Now that is getting more tailored, because you can only solve unemployment or youth unemployment by solving the real root cause of the matter. You see that? So you go beyond generic claims. You must tie your claim to a precise business or human result that you can create in the lives of other people. That's very important. You see, I'm a trainer, so I like to give a lot of activities. So I want to ask you a question right now. Question number 1. What exactly changes for your customer when they consume your product? That is your value proposition. If you can answer this question, you have a good business. What exactly changes for your customers when they consume your value? For those of you that are under wannabe entrepreneurs, what will change for your customers when they consume the value of that idea you have in your mind? If you cannot answer this question clearly, you don't have a good value proposition. Go back to the drawing board. Go and think again. Go and do more research. Go and interview more customers. And the best way to answer this question is in terms of, does your value help them reduce cost? Does it shorten time? Something that they would normally do in 30 days, can you help them do it in 7 days? Does it increase revenue in what they are doing? Does it reduce risk in what they are doing? Whatever. But what exactly changes for your customer when they consume your value? You see that? So it's important. You see, I do a lot of consulting work and I get to sell a lot of consulting services. So when you come to my church, okay, you know what? For us to do this work, my fee is 1,000,000 francs or 2,000,000 francs or 5,000,000 francs. You see, to get the person to pay that service is not for me so that, you know what? If you work with me, your business will change. That's grammar for nothing. It doesn't sell. I need to clearly tell you exactly what will change in your business when you work for me or work with me for 2 days, for 3 days, or for 1 week, and you pay me 2,000,000 francs for that service. I will tell you exactly, based on the problem you have told me about your business, based on what I can do. If I work with you for 7 days, 4 things will change in your business. I tell you this, and this, but I will not tell the strategy. So they end up paying, because customers pay for transformation and outcomes. They don't pay for your grammar or your technology. They don't care. For example, when you go to a restaurant to eat, do you ask a cook, tell me, what is the step-by-step process that you went through to produce this food? Have you ever asked that? I don't care. I don't care, right? I like to eat. Most of the days I'm training, I don't eat when I'm training. When I'm like today, right? I don't eat. If I'm training, I don't eat before I train. I eat after I train, because food has a way of, distorting you not to think very well. Trust me, if you know what I'm saying, right? So after training like this, I'm very hungry. So when I go to eat in a restaurant, I don't care whether you use a pot, you use a microwave, you use a cooking gas, you use fireside. I don't care. What I care for is the food, right? Sometimes I don't even care what I put in which kind of plate. I don't care. I am hungry. I have a problem. You have the solution. Give it to me. You see that? And that's what makes your business to be relevant consistently. Can you always answer year in, year out? What exactly changes for your customers when they consume your value? If you cannot articulate this in point form and communicate to me or to your customer in a short time, you still need to do some work to understand the value proposition of your business. Then step 4. I am telling you, if you pick all these things I'm telling you and try to apply in your business, you're going to turn your business around for good. Because business is a science and an art. One thing I've noticed is that many people guesswork business. They hope in business. You see, in business, hope is not a strategy. I am hoping it will sell. That is the language of a poor businessman, a very broke, potential poor businessman. Right? Business is always a science and an art. A science and an art. Right? There's a part of the science, there's a part where it's an art. You need to know how to balance the two. Right? Very important. All right. Step 4. The next step that you need to have as far as your business is concerned is define who pays and why. Always understand in this market who is paying and why. If you go into a market and you don't know who is the perfect customer who pays for this type of service and why they are paying, you're a very bad businessman. We need to arrest you and lock you up. Right? Every good businessman knows who is paying and why are they paying. Always know the who and the why. It's a very important business secret I learned. If I want to launch a new product, I always make sure I know clearly who is going to pay and why are they paying. And if you let me tell you something, if you want to charge high prices for a product, you must know why people pay for your product. Right? So, like the things I hear every day in consulting and coaching, I'll ask an entrepreneur, tell me, who are your clients? Everybody. I'm like, that is recipe for failure. Yeah, the way you're going to fail in this business, anybody who says that is already going to fail. There is no business in the world that everybody is their client. Not even somebody selling water. Not even Jesus Christ. I've not accepted him yet. Right? So, not even Facebook. not even LinkedIn, right? As good, as important as they are, there are people who don't use it. I have friends who hate Facebook with passion, right? I have friends who hate WhatsApp with passion. So your customer is not everybody. If you have that phrase in your vocabulary as a business person, please stop being a disappointment to entrepreneurship. Go and repent. Right? Always know exactly who is paying, and most importantly, why are they paying? Why are they in pain? Are they paying because they're suffering? Find out the why, because the why will also help you to be confident in your pricing. It's very important. All right. Who is paying and why are they paying? Okay. So in every market, right, people have motivations and awareness. And especially in small markets, like Cameroon is a small market, Chad is a small market. In small markets or in small towns or in small cities, the right customer is the person who has the money, the motivation, and the awareness that they have a problem. Any customer that you are facing that has these three things, you have a good business. They have the money to pay for it. They have a strong reason to pay for what you're selling. And most importantly, they are aware that they have a problem and your solution can solve that problem. So you are on a safer business path if you can identify the target market that is willing to pay for what you're selling, and they have a strong reason to pay for it. All right. So always define the who and why they are paying for what you're selling. It's very important to have this information. So for wannabe entrepreneurs, I always challenge them. Define your first paying customer. Do you know who will pay for your product first? Can you spend some time and write down demographics? Can you write down their behavior? Can you even communicate their professional details? Are they high school leavers? Are they university graduates? Do they have masters, PhD? Try to understand many of these things. It's important, right? Like, for example, when I do startup consulting, when I do startup consulting, we don't go far if you don't bring me data of at least 200 people that you have interviewed or that filled your survey so that we can start working with. Right? And majority always like, what? Are you serious? Yes. Don't pay me to work with you if you don't have that data. I am not desperate to make money, right? Because I don't want to work with you and we end up failing. If I'm working with you, it's more than money, right? Because people who are purpose driven, they are more passionate about success in what they're working than just the money. Why do I push people who are wannabe entrepreneurs to bring that data? Because I want them to exactly know the who and the why they are going to buy their product. All right. Step number 5. Always stress test your value hypothesis. Stress and test. Always stress test your value hypothesis. In other words, always do a very simple test. Always pick a small sample of real customers, real people in your region, in your town, in your country, who match your ideal paying customers. Identify them and then present your value proposition to them in a simple language. Always stress test your value hypothesis. Take a focus group. Do something. For example, many of you use Apple, right? Apple will be launching Apple, what is Apple 17 next month? Google just launched an incredible Google Pixel, massive. It just disrupted the whole phone industry. Samsung, they're doing the same. You see, every phone that Apple, Samsung, Google, they're launching this year, they gave it to a focus group last year to use it for at least 3 months. The phones that they will launch next year, they're already testing it this year by a focus group of people for 3 months, for 4 months, for 6 months. Do you know what they're doing? They're stress testing the value hypothesis of the phone before it gets into the market. So they present their value proposition in a simple language to a small target group, and then they listen to what they say. They begin to understand, do they see the benefit of the new features? And they ask them, will you pay for this phone at this particular amount? A product you take to the market without stress testing is not going to help you in any way. Okay? So I want to challenge you. Can you draft a 1 minute, a 1 minute spoken pitch in a clear terms and present it to someone and take note of their reaction? Ask them, will you pay for this product? Will you pay for this service at this amount? All right. Number 6, position your value by contrasting your reality. I'm going to explain. Position your value by contrasting in your reality. Now, what does that mean? You see, one of the best ways to know if you have a good business is to try to understand how different people show how you are different from what people already use. And how do you do that? You see, people don't choose your business. People don't choose your business because of your name, because of your brand image. Are these things good? Yes. No. They choose your business because they compare your business with other businesses. Then they choose your business. You see that? Even you do that. Before you want to buy something, you always contrast, you always compare, right? So as a business person, imagine what your customer would buy instead. And how do you differ from what they would buy in a big way? Look at what you're selling. Now imagine your customer buying your alternative instead, and then study why would they buy the alternative. What part of that alternative, what part of the value do they value most? Why is it important to them? You see that? There was one time I was coaching a client and I challenged the client. I want you to take your money and go and buy your competitor service and look at how they treat you from the beginning of the conversation till the end of the purchase, and make sure you use their product. Compare the buying process, compare how they talk to you, compare the product quality, compare everything, compare the follow-up, compare everything to your own process and your product, and then decide if you are doing well. You see that? That's the meaning. So if I were you, I want to challenge you to do something. List 2 existing options that your customers have. Because what you're selling right now, your customers have options. Can you list 2 existing options that your customers have? And for each option that they have, can you study where they over-deliver more than you? Can you study where they under-deliver more than you? Can you also study where you're good better than them? It is going to help you in such a powerful way. You see, this one thing I did years ago, because I used to speak a lot, right? I've been speaking and training for 12 years today. And sometimes it was a year I would speak in 250 events across different countries, right? But then I noticed that a lot of people were coming into the business, into the speaking business, a lot of people. And I was like, you know what, if you continue like this, you will not be different. I made up my mind that I will not speak on things like purpose, passion, time management, those basic things. Any Tom and Jerry can speak on that. I said, I'm going to identify the most difficult topics and pay the price to become a master at it. Topics that others can, if you want to learn also, you will take at least 5-10 years to be good at it too. When I made that decision, I used to read at least 7 hours a day. When I make a mind to do something, or if I can pay the price to become an expert at something in a very short time, I will shut down everything and focus on it, right? And here's what happened. The number of events I speak in, they reduce. But I started speaking in high value events. And I'm now being paid well. Why? Because if you really want something that will happen in a different way, then you can afford me. If not, we're good. Right? So, because I noticed that when I did the comparing and the contrasting, I noticed that this is something that anybody can literally just do. So, if I want to be different, I need to find an area that I can always over-deliver more than 90% of the people. You see, why is it important? Because if you never know what your options are, as far as your customers are concerned, you will always struggle to get good customers. All right. I'm going to end here because I have another speaking engagement training in exactly 7 minutes. Okay. So, but I hope that what I shared, it helped you to lay a strong foundation around what you're building. Okay. And like I said, I have shared in the chat box. Let me share it again. I cannot teach all the topics that I've just taught on the part one of one of the topics, right? And this is how deep it is, because business is deep. All right. So if you follow that link, you're going to find many videos on different business topics that you can cover. Okay. So I can take questions, 2 questions, and we are good to go for today. I hope that you found this useful for your business. All right. I can get 2 questions and I'm good to go.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Joybet. Lesson was quite enriching. One thing I learned is you have to align rather your vision with your value proposition. And if you cannot answer exactly what your customers stand to gain when they come in contact with you or your value, then you need to revisit it. Thank you so much for that precision. Please, if you have a question, I'd like you to lift your hand, raise your hand so that I can quickly identify you and so that you can ask your question and we can answer.
All right. It seems there are no questions. So, okay, there's a hand up. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that name. All right, there's a hand up. Go ahead. I think, can you unmute yourself?
All right. Wonderful presentation, Jordan. It's always a pleasure listening to you. Thank you so much
Who is
for
that? That voice sounds very familiar.
your wonderful insight. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, quick question. Now, what will you say has been your major challenge operating in Cameroon?
What you see, Cameroon is what I call a fragmented market, right? And now every country has challenges. I've had the privilege to work with people from different countries, 18 countries counting, and there's no country that doesn't have challenges for entrepreneurs. However, right, the problem in Cameroon is that it is almost on every angle, right? Because like let's say in the UK, in Canada, in the US, or developed countries, many entrepreneurs don't worry about security the way we do in Cameroon. They don't worry about internet or power and things like that, right? They don't worry about policy issues. They don't worry a lot about the court systems. You see, things like that. So that for many countries lifted. So, but Cameroon is everything, basically, right? So the challenges are there. And like I always say in Cameroon, you can wake up on Monday and you're facing taxation challenge. And then on Tuesday, you're facing power challenge. On Wednesday, you're facing water issues. On Thursday, right, internet issues. So what am I trying to say? These are problems that I have faced, still facing as I run a business in Cameroon, and as I'm somebody I'm based in Cameroon, right? So they're everywhere. Okay, I don't think that I can just say this is a particular problem. There's some problem I face, the same that almost even the big guys are facing the same problem at that level. The point is that they just have more alternatives because they can buy either bigger generators, or they can have multiple options for internet, or they can bribe their way through, right? So, but these challenges are there. And if you're going to succeed in Cameroon, you need to make up your mind that, you know what, I will figure it out. That's why I wrote the concept that if you're going to make it in Cameroon, apart from being a chief executive officer, you must be a chief figuring officer. You must pay the price to figure out things, right? And why? Because of these challenges that will always be coming at you. So every challenge you can think about, I have faced it, still facing, and we have to pay the price as entrepreneurs to keep figuring out the solutions to these challenges and managing the process. Awesome. I see a second hand.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Amazing. Thank you. So first and foremost, I'd like to commend you, our coach, for sharing quite some really thought-provoking insights. I believe that for the few of us that were in here, really received a lot of value. My question isn't very complex. I think there's a few of us in this room that were quite inspired, but also feel that this is the knowledge that youth entrepreneurs really need, because I'm a business development advisor within the state I'm in. I'm currently based in Tanzania, and I work closely with startup entrepreneurs and SMEs, and we lack a level of intellect. Therefore, I would like to ask if you could share with us your LinkedIn link and explore opportunities of partnership and collaborations within respective states.
Yes, please. Yes. I will happily share that right away. Tanzania, one country I'm looking to visit. I've been to almost all East Africa. I've not been to Tanzania. All right.
Amazing.
That's my LinkedIn. Let's connect, and I will happily explore possibilities together. All right.
Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you, Mr. Dr. Dr. Javni Joybet. We are so grateful to have you here, and we just want to be respectful of your time. So we are going to cut it off here. And please, whatever you learned today, I'd like you to go back to the chat room in the WhatsApp and share with the rest of the people whatever you were able to learn. This is Connecting Africans. We are on a mission of connecting Africans to Friends of Africa for economic empowerment, economic education, and project funding. And so we are grateful to have you all here tonight. We hope to partner with everyone, and we hope to connect with everyone to explore opportunities where we can grow together, learn from each other. I'm grateful to the entire Connecting Africans team, to the CEO, Mrs. Zita Tibeme, and to all the other members of the team. And I hope that we are going to see ourselves next Saturday for another empowering session. I'll see you soon on the WhatsApp forum. God bless you and have a wonderful weekend.